Thank you for joining us for Chatting in the Void, a conversational podcast hosted by Cthulhu Tilly and Holic. Chatting in the Void, I believe, was the consensus that we ended up agreeing on very last second, as in as I was creating channels and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because that's just how guys do things, dude.
It's true. It's true.
So we have a bunch of interesting topics. I have a couple I have lined up for today. But before we get into that, how was your 2 weeks?
Well, they were pretty crazy. Primarily, I went to Missouri.
Yeah, I heard.
So I stayed in 2 Airbnbs. I was in St. Louis and I was in Springfield, 3 days each. So for 6 days, I went down to St. Louis to visit some friends and to hang out with people and have a good time. And it was really fun. And so I was actually planning on doing the podcast from one of the Airbnbs, but then stuff came up and we kind of also last minute decided to do this part of the podcast every other week. And so, that, which kind of makes sense, but that's
so
more or less it.
Yeah. So we've decided that we're going to be making this podcast every other week instead. Also because it seems like we seem to go for 2 hours, and 2 hours is, I don't know about podcasts average length, but it seems to be above average in length. And I don't know. I feel like it would be better for the podcast if we just give each other 2 weeks to come up with things to rant about before doing each episode.
I think I would agree with that statement. I've also been contemplating, and I don't know, I've been contemplating starting another podcast. I don't know if I will end up doing that, but I have other people who want to do a podcast as well, so I might have 2, and the other one would also be every other week. And so that could also happen, but I'm not sure yet. I don't know yet. Depends on whether or not that pans out. But
all right. Traitor. Anyways, so what's your defense? Tell me.
I like talking.
Sure.
And you want to do it every other week, which frees up a whole week for me to do another podcast. Yeah. So,
No, I see how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he is a traitor. We're going to have to touch on this subject because there's no way we're not talking about this at this point.
Okay.
And that is what is happening in Ukraine right now.
Holy shit, it's wild.
There's no way in hell we're not talking about it, so might as well get it out of the way right now.
I've been keeping up with it pretty religiously, so...
Me too, man.
That's the kind of news that I pay attention to. The kind of news that might lead to World War III. That's the kind of news that I feel like everybody should pay attention to. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up with it on the news, on Reddit, on YouTube. It's all over the place. It's hard to avoid it.
It is,
but it's also something that I'm paying attention to constantly also because, it could lead to eventually a nuclear disaster or to stuff like that. Just end of the world bullshit. What else is new, right?
Yeah, but, it's not really new. And it's also something that, it's also not really new for Russia either, because they've been wanting to do this for a long time, and they have a history of doing this. So this is not the first time.
this
this was
like
the
most
challenge.
Straightforward.
Yeah, this is the challenge that we had, a couple of years ago with Crimea. I think it was 2016 or whatever. I don't remember.
So I do have to say, and I'm sure most people share that sentiment, and that is that we hope that, our friends in Ukraine are doing well. I met a lot of people from the Ukraine online, and even some at my other workplace, and I will always remember them talking about their family there and stuff, and I'm very, very, very worried for them. I hope that their family got out safe and crossed the border or are in some shelter. And it sucks, man. It really sucks.
It really
Imagine
does.
just being one day just trying to like go to work and whatnot, and all of a sudden you have freaking Russian troops invading your neighborhood.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I have a couple of friends in Eastern Europe, and I'm kind of worried because, and I have a couple of friends in Ukraine, but most of my friends are in other countries in Eastern Europe or in Scandinavia. And what I'm worried about is now, Putin literally told Finland and Sweden that if they side and join, if they join the UN to get protection, or I think it's the UN, or is it NATO? I can't remember. If they're joining UN or NATO to get protection, that they were like next on the list type thing, and it's just crazy. It's really worrying because it's like I have friends in Sweden, I have friends in Finland, I have friends in Norway, I have friends in Denmark, and so with all of that going on, it's also like now it's very clear that this isn't just about Ukraine. This is bigger than that.
It is a crazy fucking Russian dictator who has done nothing but surround himself with yes men for the past decade.
Exactly.
Convinced that he needs to bring Russia, quote unquote, to the glory days again of a pre-Cold War era. It's just terrible, man.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And once again, thoughts and prayers and as much support. I know I've already donated to a couple of fundraising organizations that are working in Ukraine, trying to support the citizens there, trying to offer them as much help, both monetarily and with assets, as well as just with medical aid and stuff like that as possible. But it's really a tragedy and really unfortunate. And it sucks that it's like all the smaller nations around Russia. Belarus is currently sided with Russia, but we don't know how much is going on there. It very well could be that they don't really want to be sided with Russia. Just like, the Russian people as a whole are protesting, and they're not really happy with Putin right now either, because they think that this is an atrocity as well. And so when I talk about
of even their own troops surrendering.
Oh, yeah.
The morale is so low because they don't believe in this war that Putin started.
Exactly. And it's pretty crazy that they would try in this current political climate to do this kind of thing. It's just wild to me that anybody in the modern mutually assured destruction society would start a war like this, but I guess it was kind of inevitable with particularly Russia and Eastern Europe, and then also with China and Taiwan, which I get the feeling is probably just around the corner, which I'm really worried about as well. Lots of Chinese operations, we'll say, have been going on in the sea over there between China and Taiwan. And so that's also there's a lot of intelligence going on right now surrounding that. But
there's a lot of precedents that's being put down right now, especially as we move into international conflict in the 21st century. Because this is probably one of the biggest ones so far. For sure. And this is the first time in a long time where we've had real warfare, where it's not an insurgency, where it's not like there are two dividing parties within a nation that are combating over
leadership of the nation, which is where we've been at in the Middle East for a long time. That's where we were at with Afghanistan and Iraq. It's not really that there were external parties that were involved in the modern day. It was there were parties in the nations that both were vying for control of Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's really, I mean, it's crazy to me that right now the UN and NATO and just the peacekeeping forces in Europe as a general are allowing the precedents to be set that Russia can just walk into another country without...
Well, they have to thread very carefully, obviously, because...
Yeah, for sure.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, Russia has a nuclear arsenal, and the last thing that people want is to fucking nuke the world, so...
That is true.
You have to thread carefully. You have to kind of take those crazy threats very realistically, because sadly we live in that kind of situation where just one crazy idiot in leading a country with a nuclear arsenal can literally just end the world. You know, you don't want to take the gamble. Sure, we have countermeasures against intercontinental ballistic missiles and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you know, it just takes a handful of missiles getting to the targets here and there to end entire cities.
Yeah,
millions
especially with peacekeeper missiles, with MIRV missiles, which I don't know. I mean, I do research into everything when it comes to stuff like this. So it's like I've been looking into what exactly the US and Russia have in terms of nuclear arsenal, what our current technology is, and a huge part of the technology right now is what are called MIRV, which are basically
but for everything that's public, you know, you have to think how much of it is not public, you know? Yeah,
it's true. And what you know, that's just the public information. That's just what we do know, what has been released to the public or has been, you know, garnered by people who probably aren't doing exactly what they should be doing, but are getting military intelligence when they shouldn't and releasing it to the public. But, you know, it's scary to think about what Russia might have behind closed doors that they're not telling anybody about, as well as the US and many countries like that. But it is definitely more worrying to me on the global political scale that it's just like, oh, they're just going to, you know, put sanctions on Russia. Well, that's not going to affect Russia at all in this conflict. They don't care. Putin's not worried about the people of his country, because that's the problem, is that at the end of the day, the sanctions put on Russia don't really affect Putin. They don't really affect his government. All they do is affect the people of Russia. And so sanctions really only work if the leader of the nation is worried about his people. And at this point in time, it seems like Putin is really not concerned with his people. He is not concerned with the Russian people at all. And that's very worrying. And
by contrast, we have Zelensky on the other side, who is become absolutely chat number one of the internet in the past couple days.
Holy shit. Like, and honestly, so much respect for the guy. Like, that's a crazy decision to make. Like, that is a captain who's like, no, I'm going down with my ship. If this ship sinks, I'm going with it. And that is just fucking, I like it. It's great. It's so, like, I don't know, I guess encouraging to see a political leader who seems to actually be like, no, this is my country. I stand for my country, and I'm going to stand with my people. And I think that's crazy. I think that's really, really to be respected right now in our current political climate.
He's extremely smart, and he's done really, really well, because whether they kill him or not at this point, he already has would achieve martyrdom status. But, you know, God forbid he doesn't get actually killed. But what really is the victory at the end of the day, I think, in this conflict, is just the fact of the large contrast that he has to Putin. Because to the eyes of the world, Putin is just sitting in a fucking bunker, hiding away, hoping that their own people don't fucking assassinate him for threatening nuclear war. While Zelensky is literally on the streets of Kiev right now, fucking, you know, leading his troops and leading his country from a fucking...
I mean, like, I just, when was the last time you saw any political leader wear a flak jacket because they chose to? Not because they were under immediate threat, but because, like, he chose to put that flak jacket on. He could be in the States right now.
Yeah.
He could be in the States right now with his whole family, with everybody he cares about. He could just be in the States right now, but instead he is wearing a flak jacket and wielding, you know, an AR-16 in the streets of his country. And that's, I mean, there's I don't know of pretty much any leader in the US that would do that.
No. Meanwhile, I was reading a Reddit post of showing Zelensky with a flak jacket in the streets of Kiev, which by the way was being bombed a couple hours ago. Yeah. Apparently, Russia has decided to throw a second wave of, it's even bigger than the first one, of massive bombs towards the city.
Jesus.
So I was watching this meme of Zelensky in the flak jacket, and then on the next panel, it's fucking Ted Cruz in the airport escaping Texas when the fucking grid went down a few months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who really cares for their country and for their state at that point?
Yeah. You know? Exactly.
I love it because obviously what he's doing is extremely brave. Like he understands that, and that's crazy. Like he's told other UN leaders, he's straight up like, I don't think you guys will ever see me alive.
Yeah.
After this, he's told that he's gone with the mindset that he's probably dead, but like he'd rather just stay and lead by example and show the world who the bad guy really is by just being that much of a fucking badass.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, did you get the voice clip of what the Ukrainian ambassador said to the Russian ambassador in the UN today?
Today? No, but I think I saw one that was along the lines of there is no what was it?
Yeah, there is no purgatory for war
There's
criminals.
No purgatory for war criminals. Yeah, they go straight to hell.
They go straight to hell. I've never heard something like that said in the UN, I don't think. And I think that's pretty, I mean, that's a hard stance to take, but he is doing that. That guy has the right idea of just like, hey, Russian,
there's no argument. Yeah. It's just evil here. That's all.
Yeah. I like how in that shot, I don't know if you saw the same video that I saw, but it panned from the Ukrainian ambassador to the Russian ambassador, and he was just like straight-faced. How do you even reply to something like that? There's no reply, especially coming from the position of he's been claiming, like, you know, that he claimed in the UN that it was self-defense, that it's like, oh, they've been bombing the Ukrainian separatists, you know, for months now. And it's like, no, they haven't. That's a lie. Yeah.
No, like, they have absolutely lost the social media war.
Yeah.
Even they've even apparently has issued an order to ban Facebook because everything's going so south in terms of like what the public perception of the war is for them. Like, Putin is so used to like just manipulating information in his own country that it feels like he forgot that that's just not how the actual internet works.
Yeah.
He can't manage all of his public opinions. Anyways, moving on to a little side subject.
Okay.
Here we have Anon fucking coming in and taking down a bunch of Russian government sites.
I actually wish Anon had stayed out of this one. I understand what they're trying to do and I respect the idea, but the problem is that right now in the cyber warfare that's going on, it's like there are 100 million different countries and people that are playing chess versus Russia right now, right? And Anon is like a 12-year-old with a baseball bat coming in and just knocking over all the chess sets. Because it's like, that's the problem, is that Anon isn't worried, because all of the cyber warfare that's going on against Russia right now is all information gathering. They're trying to, you know, the US, I guarantee you, and every nation in the UN probably actually with their cyber warfare divisions, right now they're all focused on Russia and trying to garner information out of Russian systems. And the problem with Anon getting along here and coming in is Anon doesn't work well with the government at all for obvious reasons, and B, they don't care about getting information. they're just trying to destroy stuff. They're just trying to cause chaos. And while that has some benefit, in the long run, it's going to be problematic because now it's like all of the vulnerabilities that Anon just used, Russia's going to patch. And now the US has to find new vulnerabilities because they guarantee you they're using the same exact shit, right? Anon's technology and Anon's mission here is not to get information to be useful. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to cause pain to Russia. And well, that's not necessarily bad on the whole, but it's just adding chaos to a mix that doesn't need to be there.
It's kind of like when in World War II they cracked the code in England for the Enigma machine, but they had to keep it secret. So like even if they knew an area or a town was going to get attacked, they had to like not like play around it because they didn't want to show too much of their own hand, you know. Yeah. Exactly. Sadly, I think I kind of agree with you because I saw the message that they put on the internet. It's kind of cringe, to be honest, and it lacks any sense, if it's even them, but it lacks any fucking little bit of subtlety, just like Anon would.
Yeah, so. Ironically enough, the lack of subtlety makes more sense to me because Anon has always kind of been that way. And that's kind of the problem with hacktivist organizations is Anon claims to stand for something, but it kind of doesn't.
It's a decentralized group of fucking nerds, you know, that's it.
Yeah. It's a decentralized group of nerds, and more importantly, it's a decentralized group of nerds who they don't really do a very good job of making change.
No.
And one of the biggest problems is that they're viewed as black sheep even in the hacking community because it's like you don't actually do anything 99% of the time. 99% of the time when you try to make change, you just create chaos and make it harder for the rest of everyone to do their jobs.
It's like that Sailor Moon meme where it's the mask guy going, my job here is done. And then Sailor Moon is like, but you didn't do anything. And then Anna just fucking gets out in the next panel.
Exactly. And the moment that Anon steps down from this, everyone's going to be like, well, all you did was bring down a couple of Russian websites. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Nobody cares. Like, all you did was shut down holes that could have been there for professionals to do their jobs and to actually get real intelligence out of Russian systems, which is what we really need right now because we want to know what's going on internally in Russia. We want to know what their military is doing. We want to know what their government is doing. We want to get access to internal communication if we can. And, you know, that's the goal. The whole goal of cyber warfare is not to just, you know, cause chaos and bring down services, although that's part of it. But the main source of cyber warfare or main reason for cyber warfare is information gathering, is gathering intel. And then figuring out what intel is real and what intel is just Maskirovka, particularly when it comes to Russia. And so, like, once again, the problem with Anon getting involved is they're just a kid coming in with a baseball bat, knocking over all the chess sets that other people have been playing on for a week now, you know? And it's just like, thanks, Anon, for ruining. And I guarantee you, in that, they probably ruined a couple of cyber operations, minimum. You know, 3 or 4 cyber operations that were already going on that are now either out of commission because Anon got involved or out of commission because Anon, you know, let Russia know of some vulnerability that they then patched. Right. Yeah. And so that's the biggest problem with Anon getting involved is once again, they're just kludgy. They don't have any subtlety in any way, and they never have. And so they frustrate me as a general, especially as, you know, my day job being a network security professional. Anon really gets on my nerves because they claim to be hackers. And then I sit there and be like, you're a bunch of script kiddies who barely know what you're doing 99% of the time and don't even actually stand for anything. And it frustrates me, but you know, personal opinions.
I have somebody in chat going, Anon, I thought they were taken down. Well, you can't take down Anon because Anon is not a centralized group. They're not like not like an organization. You can't just walk up to like Anon HQ, you know, in whatever street in some state and knock on their door and be like, "Hey guys, can you stop?" No, it's just random people all over the world, and they just fucking go in some dumbass IRC, and then they do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah,
just because they find that in this age of, you know, information and whatnot, they have a little bit more power than the average citizen. Also, like, anybody, and I mean anybody, can grab the Anon name, the anonymous tag, and claim to be anonymous. So it's really hard to, like, even if Anonymous comes out and says, "Oh, we've done this," it's really hard to know if they're actually Anon or a group of trolls. It's very ethereal in that sense. So you can't. Those guys can't be taken down. But
Anon can't really be combated in any way. Like
it's like the internet. You can't fight the internet. It's gonna be there, and it's gonna be ubiquitous. Exactly. Anyway, so transitioning out of this war thing into brighter news.
Yes.
It's been a interesting set of days for sure, because the same day that the Ukrainian conflict began, one of like my favorite VTubers got straight up fired from Hololive.
Whoa.
Have you heard of that?
No, what happened?
Uruha Russia her contract got terminated, and it was unceremoniously announced on Twitter that she will no longer be a Hololive VTuber.
Wow.
And that is following up a bunch of quote-unquote drama that has been going on around her community, where she was streaming one day, and a Discord notification popped up during one of her streams, and it showed this other like famous idol singer from Japan being like, I don't remember the message word for word, but it's something along the lines of, "I am going home now, Russia-chan," something like that. And that basically sparked the flames of, "Oh, they're dating. Oh, they're together. Oh, Russia is cheating on her members and whatnot." And that started like about 2 weeks ago. And ever since 2 weeks ago, literally, she's being harassed nonstop. She's been, you know, having a rough time on social media. She had to take breaks. She was crying. It was not good, and she was putting like some very dark messages on her Twitter, and basically her management company was like, "All right, we're gonna support you. You need to take a break. You know, blah 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 blah. You know, make sure you're safe first." Even another Hololiver was like, "Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna go visit her, and I'm gonna make sure she's okay and that she's eating and whatnot." And it looked like the conflict and the drama was de-escalating ever since then, but out of nowhere, you know, a couple days ago, the company was like, "No, she's fired because she did this, and that broke our policy," and it was so unceremonious, and it was so straightforward and direct, and like it took a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, what the message entailed was that she broke company contract by releasing information to third parties that she was not allowed to. Now, rumor has it that it was actually, she was in such a bad mental state that she was trying to like prove to other people and other news sites and other channels that she wasn't dating this person by showing a bunch of communications from her email, from her work email, that kind of like quote unquote is evidence that she wasn't actually dating anybody. But you're not supposed to do that, you know. You're not supposed to, like, if that's what really happened, of course. But you're never supposed to show company emails to anyone other than people that aren't your company. Like, you get fired from any company like that. It doesn't matter if it's Hololive. It doesn't matter if it's a bank. It doesn't matter if it's like whatever. You just don't do that. But again, she has been under so much stress because of these accusations that she was given that, she may have done something that she wasn't supposed to, and that's what led to her being just terminated. So just to give a little bit more context on what I want to talk about is that the reason this drama even began to begin with is because she was, with her community, she would always play kind of like the yandere / what's the word I'm looking for? Jealous girlfriend. Kind of with her community. And as soon as her community saw just a little smidgen of maybe she's dating someone outside of her, in her private life, people they were like ridiculous. They were like, I can't believe you betrayed me. I can't believe I've wasted all these years with you. I can't believe blah, 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 blah. Like, people were actually convinced that Russia was dating them. And it's not like it's not just a bunch of like cringe Japanese Twitter nerds. It's just like people all over the world, like in the East, in Europe, all sorts of like places in Twitter. They were like, "Oh, I can't believe she betrayed me. I can't believe she was cheating on me." Like, what? Anyways,
wow.
But that's what happened, and she became the #1 revenue earner of Hololive with this like setup that she had. And a lot of people are saying, what I want to talk about is like a lot of people are saying that she deserves it for doing that, for kind of like selling or buying into this character persona of being the viewer's girlfriend, jealous gender girlfriend.
Right.
What do you think? Is she really to blame for that? Is she really? Did she do something wrong with her character for playing into that type of stereotype? And also earning revenue from it,
Yeah. I don't think that the idea of like the yandere girlfriend, I don't think that's wrong. I think that whatever, like there is obviously an audience there, right? There is a group of people who are interested in watching that. That's fine. Yeah. I think it's a little bit weird, as in like it's a I'm trying to remember the word, you used it before.
Parasocial?
Yeah, it's a little bit weirdly parasocial, but that's just me. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily wrong to be like, I mean, I guess that's kind of how most Twitch streamers are essentially. If they're making money off of parasocial relationships. People who think they know them or whatever, because most people who subscribe on Twitch, I guarantee you, aren't subscribing on Twitch just because like, oh, that person's entertaining. Like, they like them as a person. That's why they're subscribed. So I don't think that's necessarily a problem. But I mean, if she leaked internal emails,
there's no defending that. Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about, what is the morality, or whether she was in the right or wrong to not only, be accused by these people, or kind of like not expect these people to act the way that they acted when they quote unquote found out, because we don't even know what's true or not, and the truth doesn't really matter here. But is it really something that she should be surprised over when their fans kind of turn their backs on her when they hear a rumor that she's dating someone? No,
I don't think that's to be surprised, because if that was the persona that she was playing, that only makes sense, because those are going to be, I mean, like, once again, that's the problem with the parasocial. style of that relationship is that the moment that they're like, oh, wait, you can't actually be my girlfriend, because that's the premise, right? The premise is the fantasy. And once the fantasy is shattered, you know, I can understand why those people would turn away. So I don't think that she necessarily did anything wrong. I think that she took a big risk. I think that there's always a risk in those very, I guess, heavy parasocial relationships. So they rely a lot on that, and they rely a lot on that like intensity to be there almost, right? That intense emotional connection that's not real. And the moment that it breaks, it's like, well, it's like a real betrayal to those people, because to them, you know, in those moments, and now once again, those people are probably fairly normal and they're just lonely, especially in the era of COVID, where it's like a lot of those people probably were shut-ins or
But hold on.
Yeah.
But being alone, to a certain extent, you have to be like, being alone and being awkward, or, you know, not having a whole lot of social contact at the same amount that you used to a couple of years ago. I don't think that's necessarily an excuse to go up in Twitter and go yell at someone for quote unquote cheating on you, just because they're a VTuber and in their private life they may or may not. It's not even confirmed. Or anything. They may or may not. Again, rumor has it that they might be dating someone.
I was defending her actions, not theirs.
Yeah.
I think that once again, that weird style of parasocial relationship is very strange to me from the viewer perspective. I can't get myself into it. I don't really understand it. I can understand it intellectually. I can't understand the mentality emotionally. But also there's this huge part of me that's like, well, also on their end, they bought into the parasocial relationship as a risk too. And they should have known that it was going to end eventually, and it's clear that they didn't. In addition to that, it's definitely an overreaction based on emotion. And I tend to not overreact based on emotion a whole lot. But yeah, I don't think that there's any justification for their choice to
there's no justification.
Mob harass somebody for personal decisions. It would be like it's exactly like when Pokimane gets a boyfriend and everybody in her community freaks out and like, and it's like, well, like, she's a human. Let her have relationships, you weirdos.
How dare people try to date each other? It's kind of
that's honestly like part of my fear of becoming a streamer, I think, is if I ever do get big, having those kind of parasocial relationships where people are like intent on me, and I'm like, I don't like that. It's very unsettling to me. I don't like that element from a receiving end either, of like somebody who thinks they know me, and also somebody who thinks that like, thinks in their emotional brain that I'm solely devoted to them, when I'm like, no, I have a life outside of this. And so I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I feel like that's a big thing in like the VTuber community though, specifically. I see a lot of that on Hololive, and I see a lot of that on Twitch too, with a lot of the VTubers, with a lot of like
that's the thing though. Ever since Hololive became big, there's only been two like really big dramas that have come out and made a VTuber kind of quit or be fired. So, well, there's also other little things, but the two main ones, one being Russia and the other one being Coco. You know, but Coco, it feels like Coco left out of her own volition. Russia obviously got fired because the company put out the statement. That's just hard facts. But it's like, this whole VTubing thing exploded so fast, and it's such a new thing that it's setting up a precedence here where fans need to understand that they are not, their favorite VTuber is not going to stick around forever, you know. And also, like, eventually, this kind of situation is going to be just an everyday thing. Like these idols, and it's not just from the viewers' perspective, from the fans' perspective, but also from a management perspective. They're going to have to be like, well, how is it that we need to handle when an idol needs to leave, you know?
Yeah.
Because so far, they've only had really a handful of things. And there's all these other reasons for it. But I think enough time has gone by where they have to, like, find better ways of managing their talent outside of just firing them right off the way when one rule gets broken or two.
Yeah.
Because I get it. I get it. It's like for the Hololive, for Jagu and the management team, they have to be very extremely protective of their girls' information, of their talents' information, because of the nature of their job. You know, they're pretty girls on the internet being cute. They're gonna have to be kind of like kept properly, you know, managed and secured from a bunch of fucking internet trolls trying to get their information out there. But see, here's the thing, and this is something that I kind of feel like Coco was trying to do too, and it's more like people need to understand that Hololive VTubers or whatever, or Niji-san VTubers or whatever VTuber you're watching, they're a person behind the mask. There's a human behind that persona, and what I kind of wish too is that they wouldn't be so overprotective of their personal information. That they should be more open about it. Like, for example, they should just be open about who they are behind the persona, like kind of like real life idols. You know, in Japan or anywhere else, it's like people know what their name is and they know what they look like and whatnot. But what would be the big problem with, you know, let's say a Hololive VTuber showing her name and her face? Like, I would personally think she would still have fans, and I think that should be the way that they go in the future with this, because that would prevent a whole lot of management problems and a whole lot of drama, in my opinion. If they just let the VTuber choose whether or not they want to show themselves, or let everybody else know who they are behind the scenes, behind their character. I know a lot of VTubers kind of do that to kind of like, you know, not have to be themselves. But when you're talking about a large-scale VTubing operation that earns hundreds of thousands of dollars every month, it feels like it would be healthier and safer in long term if the talents could be, not necessarily have, but rather that they have the choice whether or not they want to be open about who they are. Kind of like, you know, everybody loves an actor for the actor, not for the character they play. You can love the character all they want, but like people can also be fans of the actor. You know?
I think part of it, for me, and I definitely agree with you that it has presented a problem and that it's a challenge for Hololive as well as Twitch to handle. I also think that there are a couple of VTubers. So like for example, I know Iron Mouse has come out about this, about people requesting that she, you know, show her real face and stuff like that, now that she has whatever, you know, 13,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch or something like that. And part of it that she's talked about is she has a lot of anxiety about that, just like even in person. And so I can understand that. But at the same time, I feel like Twitch has less of a problem of that because they stream for such long periods of time that it's like, it's very clear that Iron Mouse is a person, not a character at this point. And the reason why is because she streams for 8 hours at a time and, you know, has she's absolutely not in character like the entire time. Exactly.
She is more like, she's just being herself, but she has this quote unquote mask in front of her while being herself. And that's something that I do want to talk about later, because it is in my notes of things I want to talk about for a different topic. However,
and I also think another element to this that is unfortunate is that these VTubers who have created these identities on Hololive and on, I think there are a couple other applications that are kind of mimicking Hololive now.
Yeah, Well, Hololive isn't even the main one. The main one, the first group was like Niji Sanji, and then Hololive kind of exploded because whatever. Well, that's a different subject.
Anyways, I think that part of it is that they're afraid of breaking the fantasy, that they'll lose money and lose viewers, because if they break the fantasy, then those people will no longer be fans.
Absolutely not. Because, oh my god, dude, it is so not true.
I don't think it's true. I think that that's the fear. I think it's the same fear that like the League of Legends VTuber communities, that like Frost Prime and Magikarp Use Fly and Bricky and all those guys who are creating League of Legends content for years, and then League of Legends content kind of started to dry up, and also they were getting really tired of producing League of Legends content, right? And they had to make this decision of, we want to do something else. Let's go and become variety so that we can actually not stick to a single topic. And I know because they've released videos on it, and I've used to follow those guys back when I played League of Legends, and back when they were the predominant League of Legends content creators that were making just funny stuff on League of Legends. I followed them pretty prolifically. And that transition for them was really hard and really scary, because they were afraid that they were going to lose a bunch of followers, lose a bunch of subscribers, lose a bunch of concurrent viewers when they switched from doing just League of Legends content to doing something else. And ironically enough, it actually ended up being partially true, but now they're a lot bigger because of it, because it's like they had that slow down turn at the beginning, and then they had the pick up. And I feel like it's kind of in the same thing, only it's even worse, because it would be like, it's like interacting with VTubers is interacting with a fictional story, right? It's interacting with a movie, only it's live. It's interacting with a character, only it's live. And so breaking that character breaks the suspension of disbelief. And it would be like if in Star Wars suddenly you just saw the film crew walk behind a bunch of clones. It would break you out of the moment, out of the movie, out of the story. And I think that's part of the fear, is that will actually lose them fans. I think that's wrong. I don't think it will. I think that if they were more honest and open about who they were, and about the fact that these personas that they take on to be on Hololive or be on whatever are just fantasy elements that are to make things funny or interesting, to bring variety to the community, I think that would be the right way to go about doing it. But the problem is that now that they've started the precedent of not doing that, making that change becomes A, riddled with anxiety, and B, they will definitely lose fans. They'll lose fans for a while. Like for probably 2 or 3 weeks minimum. Because Bricky Orchid 8 talked about in one of his videos that when he switched from predominantly League of Legends content over to variety content on both Twitch and YouTube, he lost followers and subscribers for like 2-3 months, as well as lost concurrent viewers on YouTube and Twitch for 2 or 3 months, because those people who had been expecting him to do League of Legends content jumped onto his stream for the first time in 2 months and went, he's not doing League, I won't watch today, and left. But that's like you said, moving from like a content creator for one specific game into a variety streamer, it's kind of like an investment in yourself. You lose revenue, you lose viewership, you lose whatever, but in the long term you just gain so much more, because if you want to grow as a content creator, keep expanding, you can't just stick to one thing. It's true. You cannot. Definitely not. That's true. And the part of the problem that they had also, and I know that this is part of the problem that Bricky had with YouTube, and you talked about this as well, is that even his new videos that were not League of Legends related, part of the viewership that he dropped is it wasn't actually just like pure views. He had a similar number of views, a few less views, but the predominant thing that he lost was retention. And the reason why is because YouTube was still delivering his videos marketing-wise to people who are watching League of Legends content, because his channel was League of Legends content. So YouTube had kind of locked him away inside this League of Legends bubble. And so afterwards, the YouTube algorithm had to catch up with his content shift too. And that was another thing that was a problem back then. And I think that probably Hololive will have a similar problem of they have an algorithm that is trying to get people to watch new VTubers. And they are trying to find VTubers that are similar. That way they are matching those contents. And so if suddenly you do a stream where you're not in character...
That wouldn't work the way you think that it works, because each of the talents have their own YouTube channel, though. So how would that work like that?
Well, I mean, once again, it's the same exact thing of like YouTube has an algorithm that is trying to match similar content so that in your suggestions, it matches content that you watch. That way, if you subscribe to a bunch of gaming channels that are focused on horror games, you're going to get more horror games in your suggestions box because it realizes that that's what you're interested in, that's what you like. So same exact thing with VTubers of like, it's not just all VTubers are one amalgam and YouTube suggests all VTubers, because obviously there's a huge difference between, say, Nux Taku and VShojo, and then a lot of the other, and that's predominantly what I watch in terms of YouTube. I watch people who are funny, people who make me laugh, people who do trolly stuff and say dumb stuff.
I fucking love VShojo; they're the best. But anyway,
yeah, they're awesome. And so, and I mean, like, it's like part of the reason that I have a VTuber model, part of the reason that I, quote unquote, became a VTuber and wanted to do that was because of people like Nux Taku, people like Iron Mouse, because they were confronting that anxiety that they had about having their face out there, which is something that I have of like, I don't think I could do a video with my real face in it. And part of that is because of my anxiety. And so that's a problem I struggle with. But then when I have this mask, it's like I'm a lot more outgoing. I'm a lot more energetic. I'm a lot more talkative, ironically enough, even if I know that I'm going to be reaching a larger group of people, just because it's not me. It's the mask. And so I can understand that mentality. But at the same time, there's also like there are other VTubers out there, other groups of VTubers that I don't get suggested. Because like I get suggested VShojo, so like I get Nyanners, Iron Mouse, stuff like that. But I don't get any Hololive suggestions, even though I watch a bunch of VTubers. And the reason why is because that's not the same content, right? That's not the identical content there. And so YouTube is trying to match similar content. And so all of those VTubers who have a pure persona where they're just trying to be this character the whole time, YouTube is matching those together into groups as well about, all right, so we have tsunderes, we have yanderes or whatever. They probably don't use that terminology because it's YouTube, but they're trying to figure out how to match those content with people and get people content that they like. And so part of the problem is that they would see a drop in views and a drop in retention because YouTube's algorithm would have to catch up that they're starting to break character throughout these videos, throughout these streams. Same thing with Twitch, same thing with any other application that has an algorithm like that that's trying to match content. They would struggle with losing that initial retention from new viewers, from new people and people who are used to the older style of content, jumping in and going, I'm not so interested in this because you're not the character anymore. Now you're you, and I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in the character. And so that's part of the problem that they would face. But once again, I agree with you. I think that they should. I think that they should become more open with who they are, more open with what they do, more open the fact that they're a person behind the mask, not just the mask. And so I think that would solve a lot of the problems that we're seeing in these communities, because it's definitely a problem in the idea of they're not being treated like people as well, because to these people, they're not people. To the people watching them in these parasocial relationships, they're not people anymore. They're
anime waifus. They're a character. They're an anime waifu. They're not a person. And that is a problem. But sadly, it is a problem that they used to make profit out of. And that's the thing. It's like this whole VTubing thing is very new. It's very new. It's a very new form of media for the internet. And obviously it's very popular, and obviously it's fucking working out in terms of revenue because, hey, guess what? There's more and more VTubers showing up, you know?
Yeah, like, they're only increasing.
They're only increasing, yes. But it's such a new kind of thing that there is no standard for how the things are going. They just go in with what kind of like has worked in the past for them, which is like the Japanese idol culture, and that's what they're coming from. But now that they've expanded to the West, now that it's been a couple of years now that they've done so. Kiryu Koko being like the big leader of it, Iron Mouse and Yan is just exploding out of nowhere. And now that it's being more accepted into the mainstream of the West, I think now we can stop dropping a little bit of the whole, the Japanese idol culture thing and be more like, hey, these are real people. What's wrong with, them just being themselves and not just a character? I feel like better content, more entertaining streams, and more like interesting interactions can happen if people play not only just their character but also as themselves, which I'm sure they already do, because it's so fucking difficult being in character for like over an hour. It's ridiculous. It's crazy, stressing. It is exhausting. It's just straight up exhausting. And these girls and these talents, they stream for hours. There's no way that they can separate their personality from their character all the time. And it's just the nature of it. So why be so quote unquote dishonest in a sense? Not calling them liars or anything, but don't have that dishonesty towards yourself of, and I'm sure they already do this, but especially from what I see from Hololive, being a consumer of mostly Hololive VTubers instead of Bishoyu or other stuff, I can already tell that these talents, they can't stay in character. In the debut, they try to be in character, they try to do this and that at first, they try to like have their quips and the things that they have pre-planned, but at some point or another, they break character, and eventually start breaking character more and more, and eventually their personality starts seeping into their character, and then it just becomes this kind of like mission mash of both things, which I think is good, because you can have kind of the best of both worlds in a sense when that happens. But there's also the management thing going on, where like it's a lot more difficult to manage the character's public image while keeping everything about the person private. Like that. And again, I'm not saying that VTubers should go out and tell everybody, oh, this is me, I live here, blah, 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 this is my face. No. If you want to VTube and you don't want to show your face, never fucking show your face, because that's just what you do, and you do you, period. What I'm saying is, when you're this massive, like almost celebrity, that you've built around this character, this mask, this VTuber, it feels like, from a company, from a management point of view, it would be better to be open about who the person behind the mask is. Because listen, this thing with this whole thing with Russia, she got fired. What does she have now? After all the fucking work, that she has had, she can't go out and put in her resume, I was Russia, anymore. She can't even claim it. She can't claim the character, because the character, the model herself, the image herself, the personality herself belongs to Hololive and the management group of Hololive. It doesn't belong to the person who actually worked their ass off. So it's fucked up. It's fucked up. If they were open straight up from the get-go and be like, okay, let's say Sarah is going to be this VTuber. So now, in the credits, it could be like, this is our VTuber played as by X and Y person. You know, when eventually they leave that group, when eventually they stop being that person, they can kind of take that effort, that work, and be like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I was this person. But no, they are under NDA contract. They cannot state, they cannot publicly benefit from the fact that they worked so much being this person. And that's what's fucked up. Because in any other job, you know, you could be a construction worker. You could be like, I'm so fucking good at making walls, and I have a fucking record to show it that I'm good at doing this or that, or managing this thing, or working this machine, or doing this specific task. But they can't be, the Hololive VTubers can't do that.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah, they have no record because the identity that they did all the work under is completely isolated from their real identity to everyone except
and they have a contract where they said, they agreed from a legal standpoint, they cannot disclose who they were.
Right.
They cannot take advantage of the fact that they played a character. It's like being an actor and then not being put in the credits at the end of the movie. It's retarded. Yeah. It's so bad. Yeah. It's because they think that it's okay because fuck, man. If I'm approached by Hololive and be like, okay, I want you to be our VTuber. We're gonna market you. We're gonna spend $100,000 on you, and you're gonna earn like $1 million guaranteed, just because people are gonna simp for you, just because we have the Hololive tag on you. That's his whole fucking subject. And so, I would say yes, but of course I would fucking say yes. Like, hey, do you want to have fun and become a millionaire? Yes, you know. Of course, but of course they're gonna say yes. But also at the same time, it's like it's fucked up because all their work that they're gonna put into that, they're not gonna be able to take credit for it.
Yeah,
and I think that precedence, and I think that precedence is not good moving forwards into the future. Like,
I think it's really bad.
Man, Gura, I fucking love Gura. She's great, but I've watched a bunch of animations that she's voice acted, and a bunch of like games she's also voice acting in. Yo, she's just an amazing voice actress. She just nails it. She's great, dude. She's not. She doesn't sound awkward. She doesn't like some of the other Hololivers when they do characters. She could quit being Gura and she could go become a voice actress. But if she did that, she couldn't show in her resume, oh, I was Gura. I'm sure like under the table be like, hey, I did this. I was actually that character all along. And they could tell by the voice. But from a legal standpoint, they're not allowed to say, they're not allowed to take credit for the job that they did. And that's fucked up. I want Gura. I want the person who's behind Gura to fucking just if she ever were to stop being Gura, I fucking hope that she becomes a voice actor, because I want to hear her voice in other forms of media, because she's fucking great. She's awesome.
Yeah, now,
but
I
wonder if she were to get into a drama like Russia did and get fucking terminated out of nowhere, I fear that would be it. That would be the last thing I ever hear of this amazing, talented individual who deserves to be fucking out there, who deserves to have credit for her work and the effort that she puts in.
Yeah.
I think that's fucked up. I think that moving to the future, Hololive should be open about who their actors are, who their talents are, not just recognize them by their voice. Like, they need to fully credit who the talent was behind the VTuber all along. They really should.
I think so too. I do wonder if there is some system that they have to allow people who have left Hololive to be able to do that internally, where like they can say like, hey, I did this for Hololive, here's a contact number to prove. Like, you know, previous work experience type thing.
They could probably do that, you know, they could probably call it, but anyways, go on. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, we're good. So like, I wonder if there's a system. I think it would definitely be better overall on the social aspect of things, on the parasocial, if Hololive were a little bit more honest about who they have playing their characters and were less, I guess, buying into the fantasy. But for the work experience, I think that it definitely needs to be more for people who have unfortunate circumstances, especially when it's like you can be fired over drama. and stuff like that. And I understand that they didn't fire her because of the drama. If it had just been the drama and she'd never released the emails, probably
we don't know if she did fired. Again. For the record, this is all rumors.
Huh?
For the record, that's all rumors. You know, we're not stating that she did what that she did that. But yeah, go on.
Right. Okay. So under the premise that she was fired for releasing internal information that should not have been public in the emails, or just generally emails that shouldn't have been public, that would have been reason to fire her. But under the circumstances, it definitely feels like there should have been more leniency, more respect for the creator and what they've done. Because it's like, even if Hololive
she was the number one earner at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So because Hololive put a bunch of money and investment into making her famous per se, it's like, yeah, but not you can't just shove money at somebody and make them famous. That's not how that works. Like, they also have to be charismatic and good at what they do, which she was. So it's like, there should have been more leniency there, I think. But at the same time, it definitely feels like there should be more on Hololive's part of giving people credit where credit is due, as well as giving people more respect, because it is a problem. It's definitely a problem that they've now created, of these faceless, nameless people behind the scenes that are doing all this work and effort and planning and thinking about how to make their character big and how to get people to connect with them. And Hololive seems to just be willing to throw that away. There definitely should be more respect if it's going to be like that, where it's like drama can get you fired and the actions of other people more or less can get you fired. But yeah, now of course, I don't know the circumstances. It also, I mean, like, who knows what's rumor and what's not. Obviously, they released a statement. They released a statement saying that she'd actually been fired or terminated or something like that. I've never read the statement. So
no, the statement is that she got terminated because she disclosed private information to third parties. That was an actual statement that they put out.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So yeah, so in that case, that makes sense. Like, and once again, I don't know the circumstances.
Compare that to fucking Hollywood, though, where like some fucking famous actor just leaks what they're fucking doing, or just, oops, here is the sequel to this movie you've been looking forward to. Haha, I guess I'm gonna tweet about it to get followers. Oh, oops, I wasn't supposed to do that. What are they gonna do now? Hollywood's not gonna fire that actor, you know?
Tom Holland did that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
that's why they don't let him read the scripts anymore beforehand.
Yeah, but
literally, they don't let him read the scripts beforehand.
Yeah, they don't let him. But is he an actor now? No. Well, I mean, sorry, is he not an actor anymore? Yeah. He's still acting. He still has his portfolio. He's still
not only is he still acting, he's still acting for the same studio that he leaked for. So yeah, so it's like, I definitely think there should have been more respect and more care on Hololive's part in that matter, especially if it was one of those things where it's like she was really struggling with mental health, like we talked about, and struggling with her circumstances and stuff like that. And that was what prompted her to release that to a third party, was because there was all of this drama and frustration and it was affecting her mental health. And she just kind of did it probably in the moment of like, I have to prove to these people that it's not true so that I can maintain my name and all this stuff. And then, I think that there should have been more respect for the circumstances there.
At the end of the day, she did something that most people would get fired for. Yeah. If that's what she actually did. Again, we don't know. We're just taking the statement's words for granted for here. Because that's it's an official statement. That's kind of like what we have to go off, and that's it. She did something, disclose private information to a third party. You could get fired anywhere, not just Hololive. Anywhere you could get fired for that. But when you've worked for a company for that long, she's been a Hololive VTuber for like 2 years almost. who is their top earner, who, as far as I'm aware, has not kind of like, who, like, okay, she has accidentally leaked some stuff here and there, and all the VTubers do that. Sometimes they just forget to turn notifications off, or whatever social site they're in, and it pops out on their stream and kind of leaks something. Like, that shit happens all the time. But like, I would feel like her being terminated like that has more to do with, I don't want to say toxic, but it has more to do with the culture of Japanese Idol being merged into Hololive than her, than her breaking contract and leaking something, trying to defend herself.
Yeah,
I think it's like, I agree with you. They should probably should have taken a step back. Maybe suspend her for a few days or a week or two or whatever, and be like, listen, you need to chill, and you're gonna chill with this break, and you're gonna stop tweeting about it, and we'll see what happens after that. But no, she was just unceremoniously fucking fired out of nowhere. And again, the Hololive company, they have all the rights to do that. It's their fucking company at the end of the day. Yep. They're not necessarily evil for it, but I think that it's fucked up, and it's something that we didn't need to lose Russia over this.
Yeah, it's definitely fucked up, and I think that part of it is you're right. So it's the culture of Japanese Idol merging with the American business system partially, and I think that a huge part of the problem is, of course, there's no repercussions for them. For Hololive. No. Like normally, and this is the biggest thing, is like, normally when you fire somebody per se, right, from a normal company, it's really hard to tell what they have and haven't been doing in their job sometimes. And it's really hard to tell whether or not there is somebody who can actually replace them within the company. And so I think that part of the problem with Hololive as well is that, I mean, they can't just obviously take that model and throw another voice actor behind it and be fine. No, they can't. They'll lose some fans. But there is this thing of, because she's nameless and faceless and completely, I guess, there's no recursion for her. Like, there's nothing she can do to defend herself. There's no reprisal for them for just firing her for whatever reason that they want to.
There's no union.
Exactly.
There's no way in the legal system that they can defend themselves, because they signed an NDA contract. They can't. Yeah. They literally cut themselves off at that point from ever doing that stuff, and they kind of like threw their arms up in the air and be like, "I'm out. I can't do anything, but I'm gonna sign the contract and do what." Because again, from their point of view, it's basically, hey, do you want to have fun and be a millionaire? Who says no to that?
Yeah. Who does? I wouldn't.
I fucking wouldn't.
I wouldn't say no.
If Hololive would come out to me like, hey, do you want to be a next generation male VTuber? It was like, yes. Even though I'm arguing all the stuff that I'm arguing right now, I'll be like, yes, because A, it's going to be amazing. B, I'm going to make a shit ton of money. And C, I mean, who fucking wouldn't?
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, for me at least...
That is not an excuse,
Yeah, for me, it's also risk-free.
Yeah.
Because, like, I could leave my job and go be a VTuber for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And if I got sacked, I could fall back into my career pretty seamlessly. Because, like, even though technology changes fast, my technical skills are still going to be 100% applicable. In addition to that, I would also be like, I would make sure that I could layer out some of my fame into other aspects of my life if they let me. But it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's really challenging. And I think that Hololive has a lot to learn maybe from this in terms of, like, There are going to be
probably
people who
didn't
are
manage
not
that.
going to follow Hololive anymore.
Yeah, no. I love that you mentioned that because hey, remember Coco, remember Kiryu Coco. Oh my god, dude, Kiryu Coco was such a queen. She was the best. But I'm not gonna sing for her right now. Listen, when she stopped being Kiryu Coco, when the person behind stopped being Kiryu Coco, stopped, kind of like. Something amazing happened where the community knew who she was before and after she left Hololive. They knew. Mm-hmm. Oh, they know. You can search. You can go and find out for yourself right now if you wanted to. And what's fascinating to me is that she is just as successful now, if not more, because she has the same viewership she had when she was Coco. Mm-hmm. That as she's doing right now, like her fans, her true fans are still following the person behind it because the community kind of figured it out. But guess what? People on the internet are not always assholes, and they didn't go out and immediately say, "Oh, she is this person." She is no. They were like they quietly left Hololive and followed the person behind Coco, and that person is still, surrounded by her loyal fans. And she's doing better. I would argue she's doing better because she no longer is bound to Hololive anymore while retaining the same amount of viewership, if not more. So therefore, she's now not only taking credit for all the work she's putting through, but she's also earning on her own. Yeah. So as sad as Kiryu Coco's graduation was last year, I'm kind of glad that it did happen this way because it kind of shows Hololive and it shows all like these VTubing management agencies. Hey, what's more important here is not the character; it's the fucking person behind the character. Yeah. If you fuck up, the fans are gonna leave and are gonna follow the person who they actually care about because nobody cares about the agency; they care about the talent.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that was Coco knowing what was going on, kind of behind the scenes in Hololive, and like kind of being uncomfortable with it. Obviously, if that's what it was, she couldn't say because she's still under an NDA. So she couldn't really talk about that. She's
still not allowed legally. I bet you she's still not allowed to say she's Kiryu Coco. But it wasn't her who leaked that information. It wasn't Coco who said she was Coco. It was the community who found out. Hey, check this out. There's another YouTuber who sounds awfully similar to this person who has X and Y details awfully similar to Coco. I'm not saying she's Coco. All I'm saying is come check her out. And I love it that it happened the way that it happened because it wasn't like a big fucking fuck off reveal where everybody kind of like went up in flames about figuring out who Coco was. No, it happened quietly. It happened, I want to say, respectfully, and it happened in a way that shows that Hololive is kind of in the wrong for trying to keep, the talent's life 100% private all the time. Again, they're doing it for sure because it protects. They're protecting their brand. They're protecting the girls. They're protecting the talent. I get it, but that can't happen forever.
I would argue that it's worse because I don't think it's to protect the fans. I think that there is some. I think there's some element that is to protect the girls, but I think that 99% of it. I think that because the thing is like releasing names and letting the girls be public with like, or guys or just whoever, letting the models, the idols, be public about who they are and letting them take credit for what they've created is just simply respect to an artist. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's not about protecting the idols. It is 100% about protecting the fantasy. It's not even about protecting the company, because the company can write it into the contracts and whatever. It's because the company can hedge their bets and protect themselves, right? Against an idol's actions and choices and whatever, right? The problem is that it's about protecting the fantasy. That's what they want to do. They feel the need. Hololive feels the need to protect the fantasy, to protect these parasocial relationships from being impacted. And I think that's definitely a culture problem within the company, and a problem with, I would say, once again, the fact. Yeah, the idea of VTubing as an industry, as well as the fact that they are allowed to do it without any repercussions, without any reprisal from any of the models that they've had, from any of the idols that they've had, from any of these people behind the scenes. And I think that it's less of a problem when somebody, graduates, when somebody decides, I'm going to gently and gracefully move on because I feel like it's the best decision for me at this time. I think that's a little different than being sacked like that, where it's like, part of the problem is that Hololive has wronged one of the artists now. Instead of them just benefiting the artists and being a platform on which the artists can stand and get ahead when they're already, on the up and up. I think that Hololive has now wronged someone, has now actually harmed somebody's career, and is not allowing them to repair it. And I think that's a problem. And once again, Hololive probably isn't going to change anything for a while. They probably won't change anything until they start actually seeing a dip in numbers. But it's
because the company is not going to change anything if the revenue keeps going up. They only change things when shit becomes stale or they have a downturn. Why stop when you're going up?
Yeah. Why stop when you're still making money? Don't fix it if it's not broken. And that's the attitude that they're going to have.
I think that's why Kiryu Coco was such a blessing for the VTubing community, not just Hololive, but for literally all of VTubing in general, because she was somebody who always behind the scenes, she was the reason, from what I've heard at least, that Hololive EM became a thing. Hololive expanded to the east because Kiryu Coco was like, you guys need to do this. There is this demand for this kind of content, and you guys are not fulfilling it. You guys need to fucking step it up, stop being little bitches, and fucking get a Hololive EM group going. And then they did, though. And look at Gura, look at Kali's Generation 2. No, Generation 1, sorry. Look at Generation 2 exploding all over the place. All of Hololive EN is just fucking amazing. And this is not the only thing that, Coco helped create. She also, broke that barrier between the East and the West in terms of VTubing. Bro. Yeah. I remember Coco being kind of recommended to me by the YouTube algorithm for the first time. At that point I kind of knew what Hololive was. I kind of understood a little bit about what VTubing was, and I wasn't super into it because I was kind of like you, where I don't care so much about the character. I care much more about the personality and making sure that the personality is entertaining, right? Yeah. I was like that. I only really watched shoujo VTubers at that point. But when Coco came around, she fucking changed everything for the best. Because the moment I knew that I was going to watch Kiryu Coco was literally her first words of that whatever YouTube video I ended up watching. Because at this point I had the idea of VTubing JP VTubers being all like in character and being all like say so, being all like pure and whatnot. Here's Kira Coco going, "Hello, motherfuckers!" And like the moment that she said that, I fucking knew that she was worth watching.
Yeah,
that she was absolutely worth, spending my spare time consuming her content. I knew I was gonna have fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm glad I did because she's fucking great. She's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, especially since I definitely think part of it, and this is what I was gonna pull out kind of in here, is because I'd heard about this. I definitely think that it's Hololive protecting the fantasy because the CEO has a YouTube channel where he has his real face and his real name. And all that stuff. So it's like his identity is tied to it. Why can't the stars? Why can't their identities be tied to their work? And I think that's I don't think that they would lose, especially at least, I don't know about the culture in China or Japan, maybe, or Indonesia, because I know that those are the other places I think where most of them are. But
fun fact, the China branch got canceled, but go on.
No, okay. I had no idea about that.
Don't worry.
I think that I think that for at least the English, like, I don't think that Mori or Gura are gonna lose any. I don't know about the other. I'm literally on the wiki right now looking at their names because I don't know these people, but I do recognize Mori Kalopi and Gura because I've seen them before, and so. I think that those, like, if the other English characters are anywhere close to Gouda or Mori, I think that they won't lose any followers for tying their identities to the character, for breaking the fourth wall just for a moment and being a person.
At least as a fan, I can tell you right now, if any of them were to come out and say, "I am this person" tomorrow, I'd be like, cool, can you keep streaming, please? Like, hey, can you shut the fuck up, get into karaoke and start singing? Like, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care one bit. I want to see them making content. I want to see their content. I don't want to see just Gagura's model all day. Sure, it's cute, but whatever. I'm not here for the cute factor. I'm here to watch a funny person do the funny thing. And like, see, I think that this whole, I love the way you put it. I love the way that you say, protecting the fantasy. I think it summarizes it very well. But I really hate that that's the case, that they are indeed that's what they're protecting at the end of the day, because that's where they're putting their priorities. I feel like they are mistaken in thinking that the fantasy is what sells. The fantasy absolutely is not what sells, especially here in the US and in the West in general. It is the personality. It is the character. It's the character. It's the personality behind the character. It's the talents being funny. It's the talents being funny with one another, and popping off and like playing games and like just interacting with one another. That's what sells. That's what really makes people want to support them. Sure, there's always going to be the fucking degenerate who thinks that they're actually their girlfriend and going to send them money every week or something and live that fantasy. Yeah, there's going to be people like that. But those people are not the majority, and those people need help, and they need to shower and touch grass, and it is absolutely not worth protecting that kind of relationship. What's worth is making sure that the talents are well, that the talents get credit for the work that they put in, because that's what they do. They fucking work,
Yeah.
And
and I mean, I don't think it would harm their viewership. I mean, just look at VShojo, for example, who, I mean, VShojo hasn't made anybody like Hololive has made those people. Right. Whereas, like, I at least as far as I know, all of the members of VShojo were famous in their own right before becoming part of VShojo. So, like, Nyanners, Melody, Zentreya, and Iron Mouse, I know, all had huge followings on Twitch and YouTube previous to joining VShojo. So, and their identities were more interconnected with maybe with the exclusion of Zentreya, more intertwined with their characters. The only reason why I say maybe with the exclusion of Zentreya is because she uses a text-to-speech all the time. Yeah. And so she's very much just one with the character. But also I think that just they're allowed more freedom. And they're allowed more.
It's a different culture, because VShojo is an agency born from Western like culture.
It's founded in Japan.
Is it? I thought it was
it's Japanese.
I thought it was co-founded by.
Never mind. No, it is YouTube based. No, never mind. It is US based in San Francisco. That's my bad.
Bad. I was confused for a moment. You were throwing me off. I'm pretty sure Giannis is a co-founder of it alongside Melody, and it was just the girls. They got together and they decided, hey, why don't we make an agency, because it's fun when we play together.
Well, it was founded by those two, as well as a Twitch employee and a YouTuber. So, like, people who knew the YouTube platform and people who knew the Twitch platform and how to work within them. And so they had, like, they weren't just like, it wasn't just the two girls who founded the foundation and started from scratch. They had assistance from other people who were there, who knew the platforms and knew how to get them bigger and knew how to grow on the platforms already. And so, I think that's part of it. I also think that, I mean, they also have learned a lot from watching probably stuff like Hololive and other foundations like it, because obviously, like, VShojo didn't start until 2020, and so I think they also, starting 4 years after Hololive, they probably learned a lot of lessons from Hololive and its similar organizations. Like, was it?
I mean, I get it now that all these agencies, they're keeping the talent's information private because, you know, for Hololive specifically, it's shown through their actions. They care more about the fantasy than the character itself. But I think in general, for all agencies, they keep them private too, not just because of that, but because they wanna make sure that they keep the talent safe. Because they understand that this is the kind of a community that they're pandering towards. They're not necessarily the most mentally stable individuals in the world.
They're pandering towards the parasocial.
Yeah, that's what they want. So they have to be careful. But at the same time, I like just to kind of summarize this before we move on to the next point. It's just I really think VTubing as a whole will get more safe and it would be better for the talents if the set talents could actually take credit for what they do.
100%.
And if they choose to be open and say who they are, there shouldn't be a system that prevents them from doing so.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Anyways, moving on to the next point, because we're kind of getting close to time now. We're an hour and 30 minutes. I don't know who even fucking listens to a 2-hour-long podcast.
I don't know. Our retention is honestly pretty low.
Yeah. Anyways,
I've looked at the analytics.
I don't care about the analytics. As I was looking into what Russia had gone through, I kind of stumbled upon a video talking about male VTubers and why and why they don't what's the word I'm looking for? No, I don't want to say matter, but more like why they aren't as proliferate as the female VTubers.
Oh yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, I think that's because, and this might be
obvious. Get the obvious out of the way.
This might be a little bit of a problematic statement to say. I think that it's easier for men to develop parasocial relationships than women.
Okay.
Psychologically.
I was gonna say it's because VTubing is a subgroup of VTubers are a subgroup of the anime community, and most of the anime communities are male. Therefore, males are most of the time heterosexual, and therefore most of the people want to consume content that's more catered towards men.
So I think that's interesting because all streaming platforms and video platforms,
and the video does talk about this,
whole lean towards male audience.
Yeah.
So it's not just, and that's why I say specifically, I think it's easier psychologically for men to develop parasocial relationships. And the reason why is because most platforms that lean on parasocial relationships are dominated by male viewership.
Yeah. And this guy goes on I forget the YouTube channel. I have to look it up. I can't do two things at the same time. So hold on. Yeah. This guy goes on as to, if you're gonna choose to be a VTuber,
yeah,
why be a guy VTuber? You could just as well put a female avatar, and you would still be more successful that way than if you were to go straight as a male VTuber,
Yeah.
And you kind of cucked me a little bit earlier because you said what reasons why you were a VTuber, but kind of just to reiterate, why did you choose to be a VTuber?
Okay, so I chose to be a VTuber because I wanted to have a platform. And I wanted to be able to talk.
More specifically, how come you chose a male VTuber knowing that you could have put boobs on your face and then be more successful that way? Not on your face, boobs in front of you, and then be like, yeah.
The reason why is because I prefer that. I guess for me, it is part of that. I don't want to put on the mask to be fully a character. Although, obviously I'm going to probably act a little different behind my VTuber than I would if you would meet me in real life. But at the same time, I don't want it to be entirely a mask. I want it to be an extension of my personality and an extension of who I am rather than just a character. And I think that maybe that might cause me to not have as many viewers, honestly, in the VTuber community. But that's why I personally decided on a male VTuber, is because when I got it made, I was using it as a way to interact without having to confront my anxiety of showing my face to people that I don't know really well is kind of scary to me. And so that's why I got the VTuber.
Okay. So this guy goes on and talks about how guys, the difference between a male and a female streamer. He's no longer talking about, he's making an example and saying that in Twitch, the looks of a guy do not matter compared to a female content creator on Twitch. The females, they have to be pretty, they have to dress up, they have to put makeup on. But the guys, they could have untidy hair, they could be fat, they could be ugly and still be successful.
Okay.
So, with that premise in mind, he goes, why would anybody stream as a male VTuber? Because if you just want to stream, you could just do it as yourself. You could just put a webcam on, put your face, and he argues that nobody cares about what you look like as a guy. Nobody cares about that. You could be the fat bastard of your stream, and
right.
It doesn't matter, right? So why VTube then? And Tuli, you have already answered that question. You said that again. you act differently with the mask on. And honestly, I put a lot of thought about it too. For a moment, that kind of took me off guard. You know, I thought to myself, why am I doing a male VTuber when I could just put my face? Why did I put so much time and effort into setting this stream up and setting my character up? And why did I spend an entire fucking 2 days worth of work on the hair of my VTuber and blah, 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 and all this stuff? Why did I do that?
Right.
And I thought long and hard, and I realized I had a similar answer to what you have, which again kind of like cocked me a little bit earlier, but I wasn't going to stop you.
Yeah.
And that is, I will act different. If I put a camera up in front of the stream and I show my face, I would act different. And I feel like, as ironic as that may sound, I feel like I couldn't really be myself on that sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't just let go of my anxieties and my doubts. And,
yes.
And then okay, sure. Then why male? Why not just go female? Well, it's simple. I'm streaming because I do it for fun. I'm not trying to make a career out of it. It's more like a hobby for me than a career. Yeah. I don't care. I just want to have a handful of people to talk to while I play games, and that's it. If I keep 10 viewers, for like the next 6 months, if I have 10 viewers average, I'd be like so fucking happy. I'd be like so fucking happy, and I wouldn't want anything else. Like I don't want to be like super famous. I don't want to make like a shit ton of content. I don't want to make like a YouTube channel and like go crazy and like have 1 million viewers, concurrent viewers all the fucking time. Like no, for me this is for fun, and the model helps me have that fun. The model helps me open myself up and let go of my social anxieties in a sense. And I just feel like I can have more fun. I feel like I can. Okay, and then you might think, okay, well, why don't you just don't put a webcam on? Why don't you just have the microphone up? And it feels like a lot is lost on if you don't have like that, like those pairs of eyes to look at when you chat with someone. Yeah. Like I wanna be there more than just a voice. I wanna be more than just a voice during my streams. I wanna like have a little bit of body language, because you know how there's people that talk with their hands, in a sense. I can't show my hands like that, but I do move it all the fucking time. But I kind of want to have just that little bit of like body language in there to like
just that little bit of expressiveness. I think that expressiveness is super important. I also think it's very interesting. It's like people are drawn to faces. So I know that you're not really trying to grow at all necessarily or anything, that you're just having fun. But I definitely think that part of it is like you're drawn to a face.
Yeah.
And so having a face there helps you express yourself more fully in that way and have that fun, as well as like just being able to kind of let go and laugh and have a good time. I feel like it's interesting how wearing a mask is different than not showing yourself, as in like I want to be outgoing and extroverted and stuff like that. And it's interesting how much the VTuber avatar can help me with that. And it's interesting. I definitely think it's true in the same way that donning a persona per se and a avatar within VR chat will change the way a person acts. And having that face, having that capability of interaction, but without it being in person or with who you really are, really alters the way that somebody acts quite a bit in a lot of ways. And it's very interesting because I've seen it in a lot of relationships. Now I've met people in VR chat who I've also met in real life, and met people in real life and then met them in VR chat and seen some minute differences, although they're usually very similar, but there are differences in levels of outgoingness, levels of communication. And I think that's really fascinating to me. And I think that's very interesting.
and then again, just kind of like finish up my point real quick. In like, well, no, why not a female avatar then? Why not just have boobs in front of me? It's not just that I'm not necessarily looking to grow and become a successful content creator right now.
Yeah.
It's more also that I just don't identify myself with a female avatar. It's just that simple. If I put
be me.
a female avatar on, I wouldn't feel as myself. I wouldn't. It's ironic again because I'm doing this and I'm putting this VTuber on because I wanna be able to express myself more as myself with the mask on. Which it sounds weird, but but that's just how it is for me. It just makes me feel more comfortable. And putting on a female avatar would not make me feel comfortable. It would kind of defeat the purpose. So that's why I do what I do. And just before we move on, because we're on time now, I want to show the YouTube channel that I was talking about. This guy made a couple really cool videos, and his channel is exploding recently. It's called Depressed No Saggy. No Saggy as NOUSAGI. Depressed No Saggy. This guy, I'll link it to you in Discord. This guy made. This is the video that we're. That was loud. Sorry. Let me just send it to you. So this is the guy. That's the video that I was talking about. I don't know. It feels like his view of male VTubers seems a little bit too negative for me. Like, I don't know, bro. Just I know it's his YouTube channel. He can talk and say whatever he wants, and it's fine though. But I don't know. It seems kind of rather overly negative for no reason.
Clearly, there is a draw for male VTubers, though, because there are a couple of male VTubers that I saw on Hololive.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, there are also other successful VTubers. Like, I'm trying to think of the guy that always is hanging out with, like, Zentrea and Kelopi and all those guys, because the bartender guy.
Yeah, that I know who you're talking about. I forgot his name.
I don't know his name. I know him as the bartender guy, who always is surrounded by the other VTubers, because he just brings them into the bar and they just talk. So obviously there's a niche for that. Yeah. So that's part of it. Why I think it's also less of a problematic thing. I also think that there's an interesting thing. I was going to touch on a couple of things of why there might be more female VTubers. And I think that's because, as a general rule, girls do tend to struggle a lot more with self-image. And so they might be more
that's just a fact, dude. That's absolutely just a fact.
They might be more drawn to having a VTuber avatar because they don't want to show their real face, because they are uncomfortable with that, because similar to me, because they struggle with that. So I think that's part of it. And then I think another element of it is once again, the reason why they're always in the spotlight is because, and there are fewer male, is because, once again, cute girls, like we already talked about, male-dominated audience because they're on Twitch and YouTube, which are already like 70% male-dominated audiences. And if you can get over 20% viewership of females in your viewership on YouTube or Twitch, you're doing something magical. And so it's like, I also think that's part of it too, is that the draw there is a little bit different. And then also the psychological reason behind having an avatar instead of showing your real face is also different. And I definitely I think it's interesting because you brought up like, well, girls have to be pretty to get famous on Twitch. I don't necessarily think that's true.
Okay. Give me a counter example then.
I think that most of the Twitch streamers who I've seen with face cams on who are male are also very attractive.
Yeah, that's true, but
so when you look at like
finding a male counterexample is a million times easier than finding a female counterexample. You know, go to Twitch.
Okay.
Find a successful female streamer that doesn't put makeup on and puts and makes content regularly without makeup or showing her boobs or being overly cute and having like the whole pastel kawaii thing all over the place, or you know, that aren't like 9 out of 10 in the all the fucking time. You know, you can't find a counterexample because nobody subscribes to that.
I can't find a counterexample because I don't really watch Twitch. I will say that. I'm
all right,
sure
what about YouTube
there.
then? Yeah, I'm sure too, but like, okay.
I don't really watch YouTubers who have faces. Like, my most watched YouTubers are, well, Linus Tech Tips is different because that's Linus Tech Tips. But my most watched YouTubers
Linus is not even a guy anymore. Linus is just Linus.
Linus is also just a character, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
No, actually, I think
I watched him from. Oh, I watched Linus Tech Tips from like back in the day when he was just a fucking repair channel. Like, and I've seen him. I've seen his fucking personality change over the years. And I'm like, I don't like the character that he's developing.
But like my most watched YouTube channel is probably Let's Game It Out, which doesn't even have a face cam. Magikarp Used Fly, who I used to watch a lot. He didn't have a face cam until he became a variety YouTuber and streamer, and that's kind of when I stopped watching him. Not because I wasn't interested in his content anymore, but because I wasn't. I was less interested in YouTube at that time, and then when I got back into his content, I wasn't interested.
I got a counterexample off the top of my head for a YouTube streamer who doesn't wear makeup and doesn't like go super pretty all the fucking time, and is not a 9 out of 10 by most young male audience standards.
Okay,
it's gaming grandma.
Yeah. There you go.
That's it. That's the only one I can think of right now. But
and I'm sure they're out there.
I'm making that point out.
I follow a couple of streamers who would probably not fall into that category. Then again, they're small. But that's just me. And I also think that there's also an element of they definitely could, but more often than not, I don't think that they do. Because like I can think of a couple of girls who were like esports pros who have fairly large followings on Twitch and YouTube. I can't think of their names, but I can picture their faces, and it's like they don't wear makeup. They don't get all dressed up and show off their boobs, and that's because the draw to their channels is not that. I think that the interesting thing is the fact that I would actually argue almost in the inverse of that. The requirement isn't there, it's that the capability is there, so they do. It's okay for Amaranth to flash her tits on stream, just like it's okay for Moist Critical to have an immaculate beard and for Tyler 1 to be ripped as fuck. It's okay for them to use that as part of their advertising.
Yeah, as part of their content, yeah.
I think that it's more common because women are more attractive as a general rule. And once again, the viewership is 70% male. If the viewership were 70% female, you would probably see a lot more people like freaking Moist Critical at the top, who are very attractive men. And once again, the reason why I think is because the capability is there, not necessarily because it's a requirement. And I think that if there were more women who chose to go down the route of being particularly funny or being particularly skilled in certain games, they would have just as much viewership as the men. I think that they're rarer, though. I think that the interesting thing is that the gaming community is predominantly male, which means that the 1% of the gaming community is going to be predominantly male, right? So it's like, because that's just how the law of distribution works. It's like, if you have one group of people who are heavily leaned in one category, the majority of the extremely skilled people in that category are going to be that group of people. So it's just like the vast majority of extremely skilled nurses are girls because 90% of nurses are women. And so the scale of distribution goes that way. So the fact that most gamers are men in our modern society means that the top 1% of gamers are going to be predominantly men. And because of that distribution, it's like, all right, well, when you look at the men who got big being skilled at video games, right? Most of them are men, or most of the people who got big being skilled at video games are men, because most of the people who play video games professionally are men, because most of the people who play video games are men. And so it's like the distribution is off because of the demographics. And I think that it's more common for, once again, people like Amaranth to get famous off of being attractive because they're women, because the viewership is also predominantly men. And so Amaranth doesn't necessarily have to have a whole lot of other skills other than being very attractive to get famous, because her viewership is predominantly men. And men are drawn to that. And so I think that's actually a very deep psychological thing. And once again, I might be wrong. I don't know. But I think that that's probably more likely the situation, rather than women having to be attractive to get big on Twitch. It's attractive women get big on Twitch because of the demographics.
All right. Well, I was also talking about, the social thing where like a female has to be, it doesn't matter if it's in Twitch, YouTube, or IRL, like a female has to be pretty to kind of stand out. Because that's what's expected. But I would love to keep going on and like kind of expand on that subject, but I'm starving and we're 2 hours in and we have to fucking cut it at some point.
Yeah.
So
maybe next time.
Maybe next time. We're gonna have to call it here, sadly.
Yeah.
I can hear dinner being ready and I'm starving, so we're gonna call
Okay.
it. Anyways,
go get yourself some food.
Yeah. So let's record the end here.
Okay. Let's record
Tuli,
the end.
Once more, where can I find you?
You can find me predominantly right now on YouTube, Chatting in the Void. We don't have our own URL yet because we can't get that until we have, I think, 100 subscribers or something like that. But there is a link. I have many links. You can find us wherever podcasts are at. Please go to, let me go ahead and pull up my information. I believe it is manylinks.com. Let's see. Oh, why is my profile? Oh, because I'm in streamer mode. That's why.
Well, this man works hard. I'm petting my rabbit. Just chilling here.
Yeah. Manylink.co/chatting in the void. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just wherever you find podcasts. We're probably there at this point. And that's pretty much it for me, other than I also have a Twitch called Cthulhu Tilly, but I really don't stream very much right now. And I also have Instagram Cthulhu Tilly, and I have, obviously, have we gotten a Discord server made yet?
Nope, that's coming up soon.
Hopefully soon we'll have a Discord server. Did you want to do Chatting in the Void in that Discord server, or did you want me to make another server for Chatting in the Void?
I think we'll keep it together. I'll make a server. I'll let you know on that.
All right. That sounds good.
Anyway,
so yeah, that's where to find me. Look me up.
To find me, I'm only on Twitch. Anywhere else, I'm not there. That's it. All right.
There you go.
I'm hungry. Twitch.tv, Halleck25. That's it.
There we go. Fun. Perfect.
See you.
Excellent. All right.
Tuli didn't shower today. Wow.
We appreciate you listening to Chatting in the Void with Cthulhu Tilly and Hololive. You can find a video version of our podcast on YouTube and our audio podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. Go give Hololive a follow at twitch.tv/Hololive25 and catch our podcast live at 7 p.m. EST most Saturdays. Have a wonderful day, or night, or whatever. Thank you for joining us in the Void. Hope to see you next time.